And this segment is brought to you by Draftkings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sports booking app. And for all of the first-time users out there, if you use the promo code Moats, you will receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. Deke, I don't know how you feel about that, but
it's a decent chunk of change.
I mean, it's decent, and it's essentially free money when you make your deposit. So I kind of like that if you like that.
Especially if you're going to do it anyway.
Which we all are going to do anyways.
Yeah, we love our sports. We love our money.
Without a doubt. So if you are in the same boat as us and you haven't downloaded the app just yet, make sure you download DraftKings Sportsbook, use the promo code, and get an opportunity to make a little money. But shout out to Brent Fox. So he says, with the Division I and the playoffs a week away, are we sitting Ben this game even after another notorious slow start?
I go back and forth on this. I lean towards just going in healthy in the playoffs and just completely sitting this game out. I don't know who though. Is it just gonna be Ben?
Well, I mean,
what receivers? Like in the past, it was Ben, AB, and Bell. Like those are the three guys you would sit.
We'll put Pouncey out.
Right.
As well.
So I don't know who those guys are. Is it just gonna be Ben? Is that beneficial? I wouldn't mind like gaining some momentum if maybe we play them in the first half. So I go back and forth with this. I lean towards just, let's just sit them and then we'll figure it out. But I could see the other side too. I think we talk about priorities. I have health as the most priority.
I like it.
I'm good with getting momentum though. I'm good with that.
I'm actually glad you said that because I'm torn the exact same way. When I went to bed last night, I was sold on rest your players. Health is number one priority. You got to get those guys healthy coming into this game in the playoffs because it's going to be a tough matchup. We talked about some of the 6 and 7 seeds that you could face.
Loaded. Yeah.
You could face a Baltimore in that first round, and we know what that would be like with the Lamar Jackson out there and trying to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. I've been a part of organization. I mean, shoot, my in 2014. No, not 2014. Excuse me. I'm trying to think. Wait, it was a year we had to play a team 3 times, and literally, it's like you beat them 2 times. That third time, it's like, bro, this is tough. Like, everything. And even in us winning these games, it's still a lot that has to go right for us.
I think we're a little bit more banged up on defense this time around too.
So that definitely plays into the health element of it. But then the other part is kind of what Brent said, man, the slow start. Like, as much as I loved that second half, the first half still reminded me of what has become very prevalent with this offense, what has been shown multiple times now of lately as well, in terms of just how stagnant, how dead in the water it can look when we don't complete our passes downfield and when we don't draw pass interference penalties. So part of me is like, man, I would love to treat this like a second or third preseason game where you have those guys out there for a quarter or 2 quarters tops so you can continue to build on this momentum, right? You take this and you say, man, we have something special. Get another in-game experience of that carrying us to the playoffs hot. But then the other side is like, do you want to risk it? But then if you don't risk it and you go into this playoff and it's another slow start, and now we know how we play after bye weeks anyways, how much more difficult it could be on top of that as well, man, if we were to sit Ben and some of these other key guys like that in that last game. I just don't want it to be an effect where we jeopardize rhythm for health. But then the other side is you jeopardize health for rhythm.
I don't think there's a right answer. I really don't.
But you know what it's like? It's the same with when you talk about philosophies with sports, right? All right, do you feel like you should run the ball to set up the pass, or do you feel like you should pass the ball to set up the run? Both can work. Like, it's not saying one is right or wrong. It's more so personal preference. It's more so the person that's in charge of that decision making it. And we can look back on it, hindsight being 2020, and we can critique it. But in that moment, I can't fault them either way. The one thing I will say is this: I don't want to see 7 in the second half. Put it like that.
Right.
And if it is, it's for a series of just coming out of the halftime.
I don't think you can give a shit about the score. I think it does have to be preseason. It's like, can we do our shit right?
Like, we know what the 2 things that we want to see is what consistent accuracy from Ben, especially on the downfield stuff. We know the short to intermediate. We know that's their game. I want to see the downfield, and I also want to see the run game. So in this game right here against Cleveland, I'm coming out and I want that to be the mentality. Shots deep and running the ball to at least see if we can grow that, to at least figure out, okay, what were some of the things that we watched on tape that worked against the Colts in the second half? Okay, the draw worked out good. We had a counter that worked out good. We had a power play that worked out good, right? Dotson is better pulling from left to right than DeCastro is pulling right to left at this stage in his career. Okay, so, just throwing stuff out there, right? So let's try that. Let's when we come out here, the first 15 plays we script, right? let's make sure that that's in there. Let's make sure that we are very much putting forth the effort and a focus on that, because this game, us being a 2 or 3 seed, really doesn't matter to us. Let's be real about it. It's no bye week for us. You're going to have a tough opponent if you're a 2 or 3 seed. It really doesn't matter. Based on the teams we said, you could face that Colts team as a 7 seed. You could face that Ravens team as a 6 seed. Obviously, we haven't looked at the full play out of every scenario and how it have to play out, but you're
going to play a good team.
You're going to face a team like that.
We talked about Miami and Browns being the lower tier. They're still pretty damn good teams.
You could mess around and place the Browns in that first round, or the Dolphins in that first round, without a doubt. So you do see those things there. But that's why, to me, I'm just like, man, you got to figure out, okay, the things that we did really well, let's try to replicate that. And then in the second half, the things that we've been struggling with, now I want to see y'all try to get that. I want to see y'all fix that, but also more so compete. When you get Mason in there or Dobbs, when you get some of these other younger players in there, because now, remember, this is the regular season, not the preseason, so you're not going to be able to take out all 22 starters, offense and defense.
Look competent, I guess.
No. You just, like, numbers-wise, you don't have enough.
Right.
Remember, in the preseason, you have a 90-man roster. During the regular season, you only have 46. So in the preseason, the reason why you can sit out all of your starters on offense, all your starters on defense, because you're still going to have a whole another 40 to 50 players available to you. You sit out 10 starters on offense, one of these starters are your backup as well. You know what I mean? Like, you don't. Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
So you just, by the numbers alone, you do not have the numbers to do that.
In a perfect world, you'd want to.
Right, but you just don't have enough. Yeah.
Got you.
Now, if you expand the rosters, that's different. But right now, it's just go through the list. If we set down 22 starters, offense and defense, you're not going to have special team players, because let's be real now, Alex Highsmith, he's been starting at outside linebacker. He still is on the core 4 of special teams. That's punt return, kickoff return. You don't have that player anymore. Not only, like I said, on defense, but now you're not going to have him for 4 positions on special teams. We keep going down that list in some of these different scenarios, some of these different packages, where it's like, man, you just do not have enough players to sit all of these guys. But that's why you pick and choose. So you say Ben, obviously, because he's the quarterback. You need him for this run. If he's not available, it does not matter. So he's priority number 1 to me.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What would you be most pissed about if one of the worst scenarios happened?
No, it's just Ben. Ben goes down.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, you can clear cut say if an injury happens, it's due to playing in this game. Whereas correlation with a playoff game, slow start, bad play, you can't really correlate that directly to not playing week 17.
The reason why
that's what I mean. I would be more pissed about.
But the reason why I say you can is because from personal experience, I know how we felt going into that Jags game after the bye week. And that was the biggest reason why we started slow.
Okay.
And gather data. The previous years when we did not have buys, we started out a lot faster in the playoffs.
Okay.
And had a lot more success in the playoffs. But knowing how we felt after that bye week, knowing how we felt during the regular seasons after bye weeks, that's why, to me, I'm just like, man, as much as, just on paper, we know injury, you can prevent it by doing this. I know in Pittsburgh how they respond. And it's not like I didn't play with a good amount of those guys that are still on that team right now. If it was like a complete roster overhaul, if it was kind of like Buffalo, right? Buffalo, the only person on that roster remaining is Jerry Hughes. Outside of that, I don't know any of those guys personally. Well, I know them personally, but not to that extent of helmet to helmet. We're in stadiums together. In Pittsburgh, man, offense and defense, it's more guys that I played with than not in Pittsburgh. So that's why, for me personally, I just know you don't want to give that whole, give them a week off or bye week off, because the momentum is, you need that for this group here, man.
See how the Patriots have done it. He plays them all the way, right?
Typically, he has, yeah.
Because then I think back into
because Brady would always play in the first half. We would always be pissed because we're like,
it was first half.
Yeah, he would definitely first half.
Oh, because you're even thinking back Buffalo, back
yeah. And it was never a debate. Like, the division was locked up, 1 seat locked up, and we're like, really? We still got to get Brady? Like, come on, bro. Give us Hoyer. You know what I mean? And sometimes you get, if they're playing bad or it's not as good as they would like, you might even see them in the third quarter. Like, that's the thing, like, how they would handle it. But obviously they handle things a little bit differently up there. And they're big on the whole, we're in New England, it's more scheme driven. In Pittsburgh, is more player driven. So we value each player a lot more than a call. Whereas in New England, they're more so like, I don't care if this guy gets injured, because this scheme is going to work regardless if he's out there or not. We can plug this next guy in. And that's how they construct their roster. And that's what we would always say. Roster-wise, we would have the better talent, the better athletes, but their scheme and how they fit was better up there.
And I'm thinking back to the 2000s with the Colts, they were actually like kind of the opposite strategy where they would sit Peyton for those last week or two, then they'd have a bye, and then they would get bounced in the first round.
Yeah, because the slow start, man, it kills you.
So yeah, I think there's truth to both sides. So I don't think there's a right answer. I'm just hoping for the best either way we decide.
This perfect scenario, man. I want health, and I want us to be able to have a good momentum and rhythm going into the playoffs. Like,
yeah, that's it.
If we can get that, man, we're good.
Yeah, cool.